So some more details on either grip is like, you want to put the edge of your wrist in there, not necessarily like the flat part of your wrist. Right? So like the thinner part of your wrist is sharper and it's more secure, as the flat part, you can still, like, it's not that these won't work, it's just that just by digging the edge of my wrist in there, it becomes more painful. The grip becomes more painful, and tighter, as opposed to like the flat, softer part of my wrist. Okay? So focus on trying to get the edge of your wrist, whichever grip you're doing. It's always the same. The edge of your wrist is better. Right? So if I use that far side grip, I don't even put it flat under and then twist it in. So I put the flat part of my wrist against his foot, and then I twist it in and lock, and that's much tighter, as opposed to just having the flat part in there. So when the flat part's in there, your elbows kind of flare out. Watch, when I twist my wrist, my elbow kind of naturally gets tighter to my body. All right, so whatever grip you're using, put the flat part against it, get your grip, and then turn the edge of the wrist in. Use the bony part of your wrist, not the soft flat part. Okay? So whatever grip you're using. Right, so when I get here, it's on the flat part of my wrist now. I connect my hands, and then I'm going to bring my elbows into my body and bring the edge of my wrist into his Achilles. Same thing on this one. So I hold here, I bring this one under, the flat part of my wrist is in, and then I'm going to just basically like rotate both my hands, and now the edge of my wrist is in, and it gets much tighter. Okay, so just always try to focus on, if you start with the flat part, get the edge in there. Rotate your palms more towards you, and that should turn the edge of your wrist in. Right? So we've done this before, and this is a good way to learn that, the rear naked choke grip. From this position, to hold the toe hold, and the transition from the toe hold. So I hold the toes in place, I put the edge of my heel, or edge of my wrist against his heel, right? And then I pull his toes tight to my body, and I shoot my arm over, grab, and now from here you can a lot of times finish right in that position, right? So this is a good way to learn that weird grip we're using, the rear naked choke kind of grip. So you flip your wrist under. See how I'm pressing his toes into my heels, make it very tight. And I pull his foot tight to my body, bring my arm over, my elbows come really tight to my body, the edge of my wrist is in, and then finish. All right? So we can try that a couple times too, just to get the idea of flat part, and then I'm gonna push the toes and twist my thumb towards me. All right? So these are like small things that people rarely drill that make a huge difference. Because if you get to this position, you're fumbling for grips and you're holding with your bicep and you keep slipping off, it gives it more time to get out. But if you get here and it's like tight as soon as you put it on, and that's one of the things that'll make it happen, is using that edge of the wrist, digging it in there, that automatically feels like your foot's in trouble. As opposed to like here, like the soft part of my arm holding it, not so severe, but same thing here. If I dig the edge of my wrist in here and lock, he feels in trouble right away. So he's gonna be tapping quicker. All right, so you can try a couple, you can do this, the toe hold transition. That gets really tight really quick. Or just focus on placing your wrist on there and then rotating the edge of the wrist into the Achilles. That'll make everything tighter. All right. So no matter what position you're doing that from, whether you're facing up or facing down, make sure that once you have your grip, your wrist is against it, that you rotate your hand in. All right, 1, 2, 3. So a couple more details on finishing. And this is almost no matter what grip you have, whether you just have this one, or you have the rear naked grip like I showed you. All right. You see I'm on my elbow? Okay, if you're on your elbow, you can only, like, my right elbow is holding all my weight up, so I can only go so far before I lose this position, before I start to turn him. So what you want to do is your elbows want to be as close to your body as possible. So you see, like, just by pulling my elbows in, he flinched a little bit. So I'm going to pull my right elbow back sort of behind me. And now all my weight's on the foot. So now I'm using more of my body weight and less like my arm power to hold him and finish the position. Okay. So I get my wrist under, I have my rear naked choke grip, but I'm on my elbow, so you might get it here. But if you pull your elbow back into you and put your head down, see now my hips come up. Now my weight's on my head and my hips are really light and my arms can move a little bit easier. So I can put more pressure into his body this way as opposed to just trying to turn him across, right? So a lot of you guys are getting here like this and then trying to finish from here, but this just kind of creates more movement by doing this. Back. So you get in this position and you want to get to the point where you kind of can take somewhat of your time here and be in control. So I can hold the leg, make sure everything's tight back here, and then I can start to work for the finish, right? But if a lot of you guys are ending up on your elbow and trying to finish from your elbow, use your head more, right? So pull your elbow back and into your body, put your head down. And see how that brings my hips up, and now it allows me to drive my hips in. It does everything better. So I have better control and I have more ability to put power into finish. No matter what grip you have, you want your elbow underneath. So this grip, a lot of you guys are getting here, all right? But your elbow's in, so just bring your elbow back into your body, put your head out and get your butt up in the air, right? And now I can push my hips into his knee and I'm just gonna pull my grip towards my head a little bit, all right? So elbows off the floor. Remember, whatever is on the floor is where your weight is. So right now my elbow and my butt are on the floor, so all my body weight is being stuck there, right? But if I take my head down, your head is like one of the most valuable and least used parts when you're grappling, right? It allows the rest of your body to move because everything can be supported on my neck, right? So use your head more, get your elbows, elbows really tight to your body. That makes it hardly any pressure to finish, as opposed to if my elbows are wide, there's a big room there, right?